process. So you start with data scientist, right? But I think by now, data scientist as a designation is a lot more clear and a lot more mature, right?
Hello and welcome everyone to the next episode of the AIM Media House podcast Simulated Reality. Today we have with us the co-founder and CEO of Valiance Solutions, Vikas Kamra. Welcome Vikas, thank you for making the time. How are you today?
Hey Kashyap, thank you for inviting me. I'm doing good. And this is my first such show also. So really excited to be here.
Fantastic. I hope that we have an interesting conversation because the topic is very
Absolutely.
interesting. We are going
Absolutely.
to talk about the most important aspect of any technology and not just AI or Gen AI, which is the talent, which is kind of builds this thing, right? And that has always been a very interesting conversation for me with leaders, right? Working on research. And we have also tried to kind of summarize some of the findings speaking with different stakeholders as to what goes on into building a Gen AI team, right? The
Right.
reason why this is because there have always been teams, AI teams, Gen AI teams, or even for that matter,
Right.
AI professionals working on NLP or chatbots or these kind of technologies, right? But with the
Right.
advent of Gen AI and now that you have started to build POCs around this, are you doing something differently? How are you hiring for these folks, and what is exactly your thought process in terms of this?
Right. So, I mean, great question, first of all, right? So, I think internally we have had various skills of people when it comes to doing AI projects. There have been data scientists, there have been ML ops engineers, there have been ML engineers, and so on, right? So there has been some overlap, but then everybody has their own unique flavor. So, example, ML engineer is supposed to kind of take the ML algorithms to the production, right? ML ops maybe build a continuous pipeline for making sure the algorithms are deployed properly and so on. And data scientists are supposed to build and train models. So with Gen AI, so I think Gen AI came into prominence with ChatGPT, right? Started in November, it got 200 million downloads. You and I and everybody in the company, everybody, when I talk about every business function, got a flavor of it, got a taste of it, right? Then you had app, Android app, iOS app, right? So pretty much, I think everybody is now using such technologies in one form or another. Each of our teams are also using it. My sales team, my HR team, my business teams use it for various purposes, for creating JD, for creating email content, for creating proposals. I mean, we've seen productivity shoot quite a bit, right? So when it comes to working on such projects, per se, right? I think given the technology itself is new, and every week something new comes up, some other model comes up, some framework comes up. We started with LangChain, Llama came up, we experimented with that we put into that. So at a foundational level, I mean, we're looking for people who are still good solid software engineers, people who can learn, adapt very quickly. And then there are a few things you need to learn with Gen AI, right? So one thing is, what is the technology itself, right? How does it work fundamentally, right? So prompt engineering is a key skill that everybody needs to kind of go through. Now, whether you are a product manager, whether you are a HR person or a sales guy, you need to understand how to work with this technology, right? How to use this technology as a co-pilot to get the job done. And same is true for my Gen AI team also, right? So if I'm building applications on Gen AI, technically I'm using that technology as a co-pilot, right? I'm interacting with the technology, giving it instructions, data, and so on. So one thing we teach people is how to use it, how to write the prompts, how to write effective prompts, crisp, very structured, how to feed in data, and so on. And this training has been delivered through, one, we have done courses on Coursera. Second, we have also taken paid subscriptions. We are also partners with hyperscalers like Google Cloud, including data platforms like Databricks and so on. So that part of the partnership has also helped really scaling up the team. Internally, we do sessions, training sessions for the team, and not just for the tech team, but also product managers, delivery managers, because they also need to be aware about the limitations of the technology, what it can do, what it cannot do, right? Challenges implementing hallucinations, how to control it, how to ground the answers in the factual facts. So yeah, exciting times really. I mean, but yeah, it's a continuous journey in terms of training people, making sure we're up to the speed in terms of advancements that are happening.
Correct. But in that sense, then what you are saying is that the approach is to have train the existing set of talent to do that, or are you hiring specifically for? Last time I think we spoke, you're undergoing 2, 3 POCs. Did you hire
Yeah.
specifically an outside? If yes, then what was the process for it? What were some of the qualifications that you look for, previous experience? If you're doing it
Sure,
internally, then whom are you looking for within these within your
sure,
organization, whom can come up and work in these teams, right?
sure. So we did both actually. We hired outside and we trained internally, right? So when we hired outside, I mean, we looked for people who have good aptitude, who have good solid programming skills in terms of software engineering, right? Data structures, very foundational skills, right? So these are the two skills we look for primarily, and we look for junior software engineers, right? Rather than hiring somebody too senior, we looked for juniors because we were doing pilots. One and second, I mean, given the technology itself is new, we didn't want a lot of baggage as well, right? So we hired people who were pretty much freshers from tier one colleges. We trained them. We did pilots initially 3 months, and the people got trained, right? Now what we are also seeing is we are still hiring. We are still hiring new talent, and a lot of people are applying, right? So it becomes difficult to really filter out resumes. So what we basically look for is we look for people who have done some side projects using GenAI, right? Who have done 1 or 2 months of basic internships and stuff like that. Those are, I mean, more of a preferred thing, but not a exactly a strict criteria of filtering. What we look for is a strong aptitude, solid programming skills, backed by some basic, maybe 1 or 2 months of experience in GenAI. That's when we look for external hiring. Now, internally, we have trained people. We have trained again software engineers. We have trained them on generative AI tools through Coursera, through deeplearning.ai courses, prompt engineering, and stuff like that. I mean, these are people who know how to build applications, how to deploy CI/CD, DevOps, and so on. Strangely, we haven't really used data science as a talent into such projects. I mean, there is a limited use of data science. Mostly, we have used software engineers and have built and groomed them with AI skills. We have done same for the product manager. We have hired some project product managers also. And during the course of hiring, also we see how they actually can work with co-pilot technologies like ChatGPT, right? Can you use it in a way that can help you inform new product features? Do you know how to work with such technologies? So we are incorporating some way or another generative AI into our hiring experience also in that sense for all possible roles.
One thing stuck with me is that you said surprisingly we are not taking data scientists for this, right? And one of
Right.
the things that has, we did a research on this actually to
Mhm.
identify what the current professionals that are working on Gen AI, what were some of their previous designations, because they did not have a designation as a Gen AI developer or this thing, right?
Correct.
Uh, how should companies address this, right? If effectively, do designations really matter in this case? If yes, why? If not, why not then?
Okay, so designations are a tricky thing, let's say. So you start with data scientist, right? But I think by now, data scientist as a designation is a lot more clear and a lot more mature, right? Then the next evolution I saw was ML engineer, right? So ML engineer is a boundary between somebody who's a software programmer, bringing with some data science skills, but not that deep, but who can deploy applications. So if you groom a software engineer to be a data scientist who can deploy models and stuff like that, you arrive at a ML engineer, right? So that title has also fairly matured out. People understand what has to be done. Now, next title I saw was AI engineer, right? I think that title is also closer to what you have as an ML engineer. I don't see a much of a differentiation when I see the resumes.
Correct.
I recently saw that LinkedIn, if you do a job post on LinkedIn, right? So we are hiring on generative AI in a generative AI team, right? So we did a job post, and my team told me that now if you go to do a job post on a LinkedIn, in the drop down there is a specialist role which says generative AI engineer, right?
Hmm.
So instead of AI engineer or maybe ML engineer, which have been recognized if you do a job post, we also have a recognized drop down item for a generative AI engineer, right? Which means I think this title to an extent has gone mainstream. A lot of people are using it to discover and find jobs. That is the reason why possibly LinkedIn has gone and put this in a drop down itself, right? So people, when we are hiring today, we are giving them AI engineers title, right? So that way we can differentiate them from a traditional data scientist or an, I would say, but AI engineer and ML engineer to me are very interrelated. We use them interchangeably. I don't see much of a difference there.
Yeah. What about Gen AI engineer?
I mean, these titles these are very early stage titles, right? Let's say if I hire a GenAI, I hire somebody with GenAI engineer as a title, and tomorrow there is a change in technology, which can happen, right? Then what
Which
title
of
do I give to that person?
definitely will. This is AI, the world
Which
of
will,
AI at most.
which yeah, so which will happen, right? No, I do know that AI is gonna here stay for a long time. It is gonna do a lot of things, but then Gen AI is relatively new. We are through that hype cycle, building new stuff, and so giving a title of Gen AI engineer really brackets one person to one technology, right? So we don't want a scenario where person is strictly forced by us or by themselves to work on a particular technology only. And see, Gen AI doesn't also work in isolation, right? I mean, you can't just write a prompt on ChatGPT window and do the stuff. You have to write API codes. You have to integrate it with third-party applications. So end of the day, you are doing a good amount of work in actually putting the application together. And you may say that near about 60-70% of work is actually that only, right? So then calling you one person as totally a strictly a Gen AI engineer may not be the right sense at this stage for me. But let's say down the line, if you hire a person specifically for training models, foundational models, right? Training,
Yeah,
fine tuning, that is the only thing. Then maybe I would like to use that title specifically. But I think we haven't come to that stage of journey yet, or at least advancement where our clients are typically interested in just training a foundational model for their use cases. Today, the use cases we are seeing is more of a using the APIs, fine tuning the third party algorithms on cloud.
fantastic. In terms of the even if we consider the hiring part of it is one, right? As well as talent building is the other aspect. What are some of the challenges that you're facing, right? When it comes to, in fact, just analytics or data science talent, there is a shortage. That
Mhm.
many leaders are tackling that problem very actively. They come to us, saying that, how what are some of the roadmaps to successfully hire, retain, and upscale these data science teams. Is there a challenge you're facing in terms of them? What are some of? Can you go a little bit deeper into the specifics of what are some of these challenges apart from just hiring or finding these, and then help us understand?
Well, see, I can. So we have faced one particular challenge in hiring, though. I mean, it's a very surprising one, but maybe not so unexpected. So, see, most of the interviews we do today, at least the early stage interviews we do are remote interviews, right? We do it virtually over Google Meet. So, what we have seen is people using ChatGPT to actually get answers,
Hmm.
right? So, so they kind of game the system basically, right? So that creates a lot of hallucination that this guy possibly is good and so good maybe, right? Then you might even want to hire him straight away. So what we have done is, I mean, we noticed some of it and then we sort of asked people to share their full screens, not even the window, because we are doing coding assignments, live coding assignments. So we asked people to share full window, right? So, and people are, I mean, they do very, very strange things. Some people open their mobile app, they kind of stream the audio, they use ChatGPT and that prints the answer and they just type it and take cues, right? So those are kind of strange things that are happening. We have kind of tuned our interview process to prevent such incidences, and we do have also reverted back to one face-to-face interview at least, even if we have to fly the candidates to our office to do that, right? So that is one. Now, in terms of generic, I mean, how to build these skills. See, I think we have had these phases for every technology, like you said, right? Data science, then ML engineers. Now you have generative AI. So I think in terms of building skill, fundamentally things haven't changed. I mean, you still see a shortage of good data scientists, good ML engineers, right? And every company is investing in upskilling, reskilling. You see a lot of invest. I mean, today if you look at all these IT companies, big IT companies, they are investing billions of dollars into skilling thousands of people into AI, right? Including Gen AI. But they're partnering with NVIDIA, Google Cloud, and all these hyperscalers to do that. So that I'm hoping that would create some talent pool, at least beginner talent pool to work with. But I think the real knowledge would actually come from doing stuff hands on, right?
Correct.
Doing stuff hands on. And there are limited companies today who are doing stuff hands on. So the talent pool is really limited, I would say. The answer is yes. But then you have to start somewhere. You hire smart people, give them basic knowledge, basic training on Gen AI, and then start experimenting stuff. I mean, there is no real pool out there in the market actually you can tap. It's a very small pool. That's what we've seen.
Yeah, yeah. It's very, it's very interesting. How do you solve that problem, right? When And also, like, why, one of the things is, why would you do something like that? Especially when it comes to working on technologies like Gen AI. Even if you kind of, you know, do use some trickery to get into the job, how are you going to sustain this very high impact, high velocity, high speed jobs
Yeah,
with immediate results that are expected? And especially
yeah,
considering in POCs, it's not like, you know, you can hide under hide under a pillow to kind of do that. But that's interesting.
yeah.
Uh, does
We've had hits and misses.
yes, how much does hiring from tier one colleges matter in this case? Because one of the things that we have realized, that over a period of time, enterprises realize that, you know, we are missing out on a lot of talent when it comes to AI and data science, or potential talent on the AI and data science, by just looking at tier one. But when it comes to especially Gen AI and such a state of the art technology, where majority of the things are mostly in research or POCs, are you specifically focusing for tier one? Is that important? If not, if yes, why? If not,
So, okay, so I can tell you why it makes sense for us, right? I mean, I know there is a debate. I mean, if you just type in on LinkedIn that you are looking to hire people exclusively from tier one, you will get a lot of flack. Maybe a lot of people will comment that, okay, they'll start comparing IIT versus rest, right? So without getting into debate, right? So I think it makes sense for us because one, we are a small company, right? We get a lot of applications from people who want to have a job in GenAI, right? And it is very difficult for us to scrutinize every application, right? I
hmm.
mean, I can't interview personally 100 people, right? When they apply, and to interview everybody, you have to, let's say, interview for aptitude, you have to interview for technology skills, right? And then cultural fit and so on. So limiting myself to tier one narrows that pool for me from 100 to, let's say, 20, 30 people, where I
Hmm.
know that at least one set of interview, let's say aptitude, has already been done, right?
Yeah,
Then I
yeah,
then I need to test for technical skills and then the cultural fit. Now there are also people. I mean, in fact, people who are working internally are actually not tier one, right? But they have been working with us for some time, and we have groomed them, right? So you can find talent in tier two, tier three also. It's not a problem at all, and you'll find really good talent. But then you have to interview a lot more.
yeah, yeah,
And if you don't have time, I mean, you have to cut short. Then I mean that's the way I have to do it.
yeah,
If
yeah,
there is a different way, I mean, I'm happy to sort of get your perspective also. If you have found a different way from people in the industry,
yeah. No,
right,
I
where you can actually get better talent, or there is a way to filter it out.
yeah, yeah. No, I think I'm also. I mean, I this we are also all in very early stages, right? I don't think
Yeah,
anybody has that kind of magic wand or the magic answer to kind of narrow it down, because the technology is also only in ifs and buts. So talent will be
yeah, yeah,
obvious. We should at
yeah,
least be sure about the talent, that, you know, there's something.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
So
one of
I can tell you. I mean, my experience has been good, by the way. I mean, this strategy, hiring tier one talent, getting them to work, experience has been good. We are doing a lot and lot new things every day, right? So we start with an experiment in the morning. We want to wrap it up by even deliver and maybe demo by end of the day, right? And that promise we are able to hold with such people, right?
yeah,
They can learn and learn very fast.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Otherwise, possibly the speed of delivery or velocity can be maybe 2 3 days,
Correct,
right?
correct.
Here my velocity is 1 day, so, which is fantastic. And that also enables me to maybe, so other aspect is, let's say if you're working with people who are smart, right? And given technology is changing rapidly, I want to allow them to spare maybe a day to actually learn. Don't do any work, just go out and read what is happening. Maybe
Hmm.
read research papers, experiment architecture, and so on. Now, if you have a team that works at a certain velocity, you can really spare 1 day for them. But if you have a team that maybe is that works slow, that takes maybe 2x time, you'll not be able to even spare 1 day for them because you have to really deliver on the product milestones.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. In that, in continuation to that, right? These people are continuously reading something or the other new, right? And they have to learn on the job. They are also learning continuously new things. What are some of the things that you are, as a company, doing to enable this upskilling, right? apart from the self-learning aspect of it? And what are some of the uh, trending skills that you foresee, right, that are on the cusp that these people, Gen AI professionals, will need to upskill on?
Okay, so I think prompt engineering is a very key skill. I mean,
Mhm.
even though, so one thing I've noticed is if you start working with prompt engineering for 1 to 2 months, you might even say that you have a reasonable experience, right? But every time, every next day, you will be thrown a certain challenge, and you will see, okay, why the technology is behaving in a weird way. I mean, we are building some pilots and POCs. We do a prompt today, and next day we are testing it again with certain new data, and the output is completely weird, right? And you don't even know because it's such a black box, you don't know why it is behaving in such a manner. Then you
Mm,
redo your prompt, and even a slight change in prompt actually changes a lot of output,
mm,
right? Then you have to think whether your prompt that you did while it worked today, is it even reliable or not? And even if it is reliable, let's say today you have done the prompt using OpenAI, using ChatGPT, are these prompts even portable to some third model, maybe Palm? So is there a portability of your prompt? Today, I don't think so. I mean, this is something also we need. We are kind of thinking, let's say if we are building a product and if we need to port our prompt across different large language models, how portable they are? Will they give the right set of results today? It is not the case today. I mean, results are different. We have tested the results across same prompt, different models, results are different, and they are supposed to be different. So we compared Palm 2 with GPT advanced model, GPT-4, results are different. So then we have to tune our prompts for differently for these two different models, right? So one, the other thing is, I mean, training is difficult, right? It is not easy. It's on the job training. Uh, there are a lot of frameworks coming up. Like I said, we started with the LangChain, moved to Llama. There are a lot of vector databases we experimented with. So what we do is while there are a lot of stuff that are happening, we really want to focus on the set of technologies that are important to us and why they are important, right? So example, we want to be able to automate the testing in some form, right? Today, what we are mostly doing manual testing of the outcome. Every time we release or ship something new, we have to test manually whether the answers are right or wrong or how close these are, right? Can we automate that stuff? I know we can, but we haven't spent time on that. So that part we have to invest some time, and we are looking at set of technologies or frameworks that are available to do so for us. If not,
mm.
how do we get there, right? Second
Yeah,
is how do we kind of build guardrails on the response that we're getting. While there are certain guardrails you can build using prompt itself, but there is some prompt injection that is still possible that allows weird responses, right? Responses that are out of the context. So those there are some guardrail frameworks, like there is one from NVIDIA. We have to still test it out how. So there are certain technologies that are focused. We don't want to sort of look at every possible aspect of it, but there are certain things that are important to us, including guardrails, right?
yeah,
Including testing side of things, right? Where we will actually go a bit deeper to actually solidify what we are building.
yeah. No, I think that makes sense in terms of a more broader strategic uh, objectives of leadership to enable the building of Gen AI. I think it very much aligns with the kind of I mean, it feels that it aligns with some of the things that they need to achieve. Finally, my question to you is, there are a lot of, because of all the buzz, a lot of data scientists now want to become AI, Gen AI engineers, right? And they want to work on this technology. What is your that one piece of advice or the key advice that will enable them to probably move their or work on projects in Gen AI or pursue a career in that field?
Okay, so our team in GenAI today is actually not data scientists, right? These are software engineers or let's say AI engineers. You can say that.
Yeah.
So surprisingly, I don't have a track where I see a data science migrating to be a GenAI engineer. I mean, while you can do courses in GenAI, you can learn prompt engineering and all. But if I look at building GenAI applications, because see, I'm not training the models from grounds up today, right? I'm not doing a lot of heavy mathematics and architecture level thing. We are building applications with third party algorithms and so on. And there is a very limited use of data science skills in that. We are not doing any EDA or any kind of building training models. So in terms of upskilling, I think data science people can surely groom themselves in using Gen AI. I mean, they can do courses on Coursera, deep learning.ai, prompt engineering is a key skill. They can also probably be better in data science itself, right? So if you can do data science steps using GenAI as a co-pilot faster or more in a more efficient way than you were doing before, that could be possibly be an evolution of data science role itself, right? We look at, so I mean, our team in our dev team, they use code generated by GPT technologies and other foundational models, boilerplate code. I'm not talking about the highly optimized specific logic, but we generate boilerplate codes and we use that. So 60-70% of the boilerplate code we use today in our products is actually generated by GenAI technologies, right? So similarly, I think from a data science perspective, if you look at, I'm sure there are boilerplate codes in terms of PDA, in terms of building training models, which where foundational models can actually generate those codes, right? And EDA can be much faster with GenAI technologies, in my opinion. So rather than moving from data science to a GenAI engineer, I would say if data scientists can build skills to use GenAI as a co-pilot and be more effective at what they are doing, because the demand of data scientists will not go away, right?
Hmm.
You still have a lot of data that is structured, unstructured, and end of the day you have to generate insights, right? Insights that have to be meaningful and contextual for the business. Now, while technology is good at certain things, they still are not good at understanding your business, right? Or understanding your context very properly, which is where human is must. So if data science people can learn how to work with GenAI technologies, how to bring out their best using GenAI technologies, I think I see that evolution rather than shift from data science to a GenAI engineer. I see a shift where data science can actually use GenAI as a co-pilot to improve the outcomes. So something that can be done maybe in 1 month can be done in 2 weeks, or the output in 1 month can be more, or it can even be more effective. So I saw one case where people were using GenAI technologies to actually explain the clusters. I mean, if you do clustering, right? If you want to segment your customers using k-means or something, you will also have to do explanation of how do the clusters look like, right? So today you are writing a lot of those descriptions manually. I saw one post where people were using GPT to actually explain the clusters to exec level team, writing description, right? So I mean, these kind of things is where I see the evolution rather than somebody moving from a data science to a GenAI engineer.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. I think that that might be a little bit discouraging, but probably what reality, or probably more practical approach into maneuvering careers in the field of data-driven technologies. Uh, you
Yeah,
know,
and I might be proven wrong. I mean, today, see, the title at LinkedIn is GenAI engineer. Tomorrow, it could be GenAI data scientist. I don't know. I mean, I can't forecast it, but yeah, could be that.
Fantastic. Yeah. No, no, I think this conversation has been really insightful, because I hope that this enables some of the companies to, build a sort of a framework in terms of what are some of the things that other leaders are doing in terms of enabling the right talent for building Gen AI, especially
Absolutely.
considering its nature, fast evolving nature, right? So thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and thank you for your insights.
Yeah. Thank you for having me and wish you all the best.